Okay, this episode we're going to talk about the unfortunate subject of homestead security. Right now, you may hear a bit more cars than usual, and I'm at a section of my property that I don't go to. I go too often, but it's close to the road, so it's, you know, when you live far away from the road. But at the same time, with homestead security, you need to go to different areas of your property all the time and just keep an eye on it. I mean, it is your property. So, but I'm gonna kind of jumping ahead of myself here. The number one thing I would do for homestead security is know your neighbors and know your area. I know my neighbors. My neighbors are good people. And that's the first thing. I mean, if you don't know your neighbors, I would. I mean, I get it. You're in the country. People move to the country to get away from people, you know, but my neighbors, I don't see them every day, but, you know, there's been times when I'm late to get my driveway plowed from snow and my neighbor does it. There's times when I do one of my neighbor's driveways because I'm up earlier than them. You know, it just depends. You know, your neighbors are there when you need them, and they're doing their own thing when, you know, you don't. You know, that's how good neighbors are. So get to know your neighbors, get to know your area, know the sheriff, got to know who he is. He's not a good guy. He's not going to have your back. I don't want to get into that, but if you can, know your sheriff. That's a good thing. You know, like my area, relatively, I don't think any place is free of crime, but my area is relatively low crime. Sheriff's good to go, good guy. Yeah, my neighbors, like I said, are good. The next thing too, signs. You got to post your property. Different areas have different things. I know there's like purple stripes on trees and things. I've got the no trespassing signs all over the property. When I first moved here, first thing I did, my wife's like, "Oh my God, everybody's gonna think you're an a-hole." No, the neighbors all have signs too. So, and you know, the first couple years, there were people trespassing on our property. Just to constantly going through the property, making trails, trails all over the property. Yeah, they're fun. It's cool to cruise the ATVs around, your UTV. The main purpose is keep an eye on your property. It's kind of like your garden. If you got a section of your garden that you just neglect and forget about, it's full of weeds, that's like your property. It's instead of weeds, it's going to be trespassers or you know whatever. So you need to do that. Also, which depending on how this video goes, either before or after this, some kind of a driveway alarm or perimeter alarms. I've tried them all. Our driveway is a 1/4 mile with the curve in it, and I've tried infrared, whatever, motion detecting. The Dakota alerts MURS is the only one that's worked good. It's not cheap, but you get what you pay for. Sorry about the noise. Right now I'm at the end of my driveway in my UTV, but I've got my alarm. You can kind of see better that it does pick up metal and vehicles much better than small metal objects. I mean, I have picked up dogs with dog collars and things like that crossing right there, but you can kind of see. I'm going to drive down the driveway, put the mic right here. Maybe you can hear it. It's a little bit, I've got it in just a little bit because I don't want people turning around and triggering it. My sign is right here. And get near it.
Alert down 1.
There it goes.
Alert down 1. Alert down 1.
From there,
Alert down.
from there, it's a 1/4 mile to the house. And what's nice about these, you can put more than one. So the closer you get to the house, it's zone 2. The closer piece of foam just fell on my roof. And then really close, you got zone 3. Other areas on the property, zone 4. You know, you kind of get it. You can put them all over the place. And little solar batteries, and you know, they're really good. ATV battery with a small solar panel, and then up a tree, I've got the Dakota Alert MURS. panel. And this you can actually put quite a distance away from the road and the driveway. You can see a car going by there. I mean, we're still pretty far from the road, but this thing has about a mile range, I want to say. It might be more. My driveway is a 1/4 mile with a curve in it. So this transmits perfectly to the house. And with the battery, I don't have to change the batteries anymore. It used to use expensive 123 batteries. Now it uses an old ATV 12 volt with my solar panel that I haven't changed in a year or two. It is a plastic tube probe that you bury in your driveway parallel to the driveway, not in the driveway, but alongside of it. And then you've got a transmitter that's attached by wire that you got to bury the wire. It's like you get like 30-40 feet, so you can put this transmitter far away from your driveway. And the transmitter transmits like a mile, I think. A mile or half a mile. My driveway's only a 1/4 mile, so, and I mean, it's not a clean sight 1/4 mile. I mean, there's trees, there's everything you can think of is blocking it. So, and this thing transmits. I've got multiple receivers, handheld receivers. We've got receivers in the house. I've got a receiver in the barn. I mean, it's just great. You know when people are coming into your entrances and which areas they're at, because you can put more. You can put as many of these as you want. I mean, they're not cheap. They're like $200 a pop for the piece that you bury, and then you gotta buy the receivers, which aren't cheap. And then I modified all mine to run on 12 volt batteries with solar panels, so I don't have to. Originally, I had them. They used 1, 2, 3 batteries, and they used 6 of them, or whatever equals 12 volts, and they would last like 4 months. And those batteries are like $1 to $2 a piece. So I mean, you know, you figure it out. It's expensive. You got multiples of these things all over the place. And then, so those with solar panels, phenomenal. They detect metal. So yeah, granted, if you got a naked man trying to break into your property, oh well, he's gonna get through, you know. But you've got a guy with anything metal on, it's gonna trigger the alarm. Crowbar, a pistol, a screwdriver. We've had cats with collars trigger the alarm. So the only time it does malfunction sometimes is if it's raining heavily and there's lightning. For some reason, lightning sometimes triggers it. But the alternatives, the infrared, motion detecting, for maybe the city, but for Homestead, they do not work. The infrared ones, you know, detects infrared heat. Well, you've got a line in your driveway when the sun's changing. Hot, cold, you know, shade, sun. As soon as it hits that area where your driveway your alarm is just going to go off and on, off and on, off for about a half an hour, or whatever it takes for the sun to. And then the motion ones, the wind blows something, a squirrel runs across. I mean, it's same thing with the infrared ones. You got deer, turkeys, chickmunks. They're going to trigger that thing off like you wouldn't believe. So I hate to say it, the Dakota alerts, MURS, best thing you can buy for the homestead use. You know, for country living. And you know, get a couple of them. You could. Mine says alert 1, alert, you know, zone 1, zone 2. I think you could change them to different things. But man, so weird being by the road. I'm like, man, it's crowded out here. A lot of cars. But that's everywhere you go now. The country, there's just more people. So I mean, you got to have different layers of security. You've got your signs, your driveway alarm. Your signs are telling people, hey, don't come here. Your driveway alarm and your perimeter alarm and property alarms are telling you, hey, people are here. And then you got to put, I've got game cameras in areas that maybe a vehicle can't get through, but you just never know. And kind of the same thing with those Dakota alerts. You can put them in an area where, well, a car's not going to get through here, but maybe a guy on foot or a guy in an ATV will get through here. This will pick you up and let you know. The next option on your layer of security, if money permits, not a bad thing to have. If you got a lot of land, get a good, and when I say good, I don't mean like thousands of dollars. I mean like $200-300 a drone with a camera. You hear one of your alarms go off and it's like, holy crap, you know, that's a 1/4 mile away, but I want to see what it is. Send out your little drone, go see what it is. Is it a cat with a dog collar or is it a guy with a crowbar? You never know. More than likely out in the country, it's a drunk guy. we've had a few that just fly off the road and go through our fence and trigger an alarm, and then you got to call the sheriff, and it's an unfortunate fact of life out here. Yeah, so you got your signs. You know, we've got some funny signs that says, you know, beware of attack goats. But hey, if some jackass jumps over our goat fence and gets bucked by a goat, hey, we warned you, you know, don't do that. So, you know, you've got that. And then the next layer of security is, it's not a popular subject for a lot of people, but you should have a gun. I mean, it's just, I don't know, Sam Colt said, made people equal, you know, because people are not equal. I mean, I'm not a big dude, I'm a small dude. Yeah, I would take a handgun over a fist fight any day. If I was in a life or death survival situation, it's just fact of life, you know. And you may have more than one person coming onto your property, you know. That's when a gun helps, and also your neighbors. I'm not going to go deep into the subject, but like my neighbors, we all have handheld digital, like walkie-talkie, you know, well, I don't even know what they're called, the Biofangs or Bofangs, whatever, you know. We've got multiple different types of those, the digital ones, the encrypted ones, and when power goes out, whatever, we use those. It's just, you know, it's kind of one of those good things, you know, so you want to have that. There's other things you might want to get into, but this is kind of just the basics of you got your property and things you might want to do. So, you know your neighbors, put signs on your property, and some kind of perimeter alarms. And I don't want to say patrol, because that just sounds so military-ish, but walk your property, ATV your property, you know, just be on your property. In the, you know, the woods back there, yeah, when we first got here, I didn't go in there because it was so thick, and when, you know, now there's trails. I've got trails I can take the four-wheeler, I can get my firewood. It's all trails everywhere. I can get to everywhere. I can go the whole perimeter of the property and then everywhere in between, in different ways. And some trails are not maintained as well as others, just because I don't want, you know, somebody, that's the other part, you know, somebody can get on, come over a fence or something. The other thing too is, if at all possible, like my trails, you cannot see them from the road. I didn't want people to see them from the road. I didn't, you know, because people are nosy and people are curious, you know, especially, never underestimate a country kid's boredom and lack, or the zest for adventure can wreak havoc on your property. So that's where it goes into knowing your neighbors. You know, if you're the neighbors have kids and they know you're, you know, you're a cool family, and you know, they're not going to mess with your property probably, you know. And you know, like neighbors and stuff like that, I do let, during hunting seasons, I'm not a big hunter, so I told them, you know, if, hey, a deer crosses property lines, just give me a jingle so I don't accidentally shoot you, because I'm target shooting, you know. And it seems to work. And not every year, but some years they bring us deer sausage, so it pays off. But yeah, like I said, you want to, unfortunately, the way things are going, security is going to be a big concern and a big deal. Some other things you may want to go into is, like I said, firearms. You may want to look into body armor. I mean, not trying to sound all doom and gloom, but you gotta defend your property. Times are getting a little weird. You just never know. I mean, anything you can do to help you out. One thing that's in one of my other videos that I will add on the security level, and don't underestimate it, because it is phenomenal, is thermal. I've got multiple thermal units now, and I've also got night vision. We're kind of going on a little bit more expensive here, but this is my property. I want to defend it. I don't want somebody coming here, you know, taking what's mine that I worked very hard for. So I've got night vision. Night vision, I can drive my four-wheeler around in the dark. Nobody, they'll hear me, but they won't know what's going on. I can walk around here in the dark. And then thermal. Thermal though, holy cow. If I had my night vision on, what you see behind me, that's what I would see. But there's a bush over there or something like that, and there's a person behind it, with night vision, I would not see them. I pop out my thermal, I walk down these trails in the middle of the night, I pop out thermal, I'm seeing rabbits, birds, I mean deer, I mean it's just unbelievable. You know, shoot it down further, the scope, I got a handheld and I can look, you know, quarter mile away, whatever, I can see people moving like neighbors and, you know, one direction if they're ever outside. It's just phenomenal. So don't underestimate that. That's like a little bit more higher end on security, but something goes bump in the night and you're out in the middle of nowhere like we are. Thermal is peace of mind at a price, but it is, I've sacrificed other things to get thermal, and you know, some of these guys have like, oh, I've got my 10th AR-15. It's like, no, I've got my one, and but I've got thermal. It's, you know, you know, there's an old saying, beware of the man with one gun. He knows how to use it, and that's the truth from what I've learned. But the other thing that goes with that is beware of the family with all of them have guns, because that's a little different story. But you know, if you got a family of 2 and they've got 20 guns, I mean, when you got a family of 4 and they've got 4 guns, who are you going to fear? You know, it's just and then you got a family of 4 with thermal, you know, or family of 6 with thermal. Holy cow, you know, the bad guys are going to go somewhere else. So, you know, because with inflation, high prices of food, there's an old thing called, I'd say old, it's old on the internet, but it's 9 Meals to Anarchy. Pretty much the basic American has never suffered. They really haven't. I mean, even in general, you know, I'm not even going to get into that, but just Americans really have not suffered. You know, they don't go hungry, there's so much government assistance and on. So in general, they don't know how to handle it when they do go hungry. Unfortunately, in my life, I've seen people that were hungry and what they're willing to do, and it has always stuck in my mind, and it's scared me. And I just said, you know, that's so with food prices and food iffy, you know, hungry, desperate people scares me. So you want to have security for that, and that's, I hate to say this too, but in the tiers of security, food is security. If you have stockpiles of food, you don't have to leave your property when things go south, and you can eat when people are not, and you consider that on your list of security. So yeah, so I'm gonna end it there. As usual, it's raining. That's my my other joke. We've gone full house solar with battery backup, and since then, I swear the weather has just gone to crap, and we hardly get a full day of sunshine. So, I mean, that's where you got the batteries, because you're making up. And then that's another thing. You may want to think about security, energy security. So, you know, maybe full house solar and battery backup is not your thing, but maybe consider a generator, because when the power goes out long enough and people are hungry and desperate, you know, now here's the thing too, those driveway alarms that I said, if you lose power, your home the receivers are not going to work, but your handheld battery ones will work, and the batteries on the receiver and the transmitters. So your perimeter alarm will still work. So you may not have power, and then oh, and I almost skipped one other element. This will be the last one. Security cameras. I'm so used to them, and just we have them everywhere on the property. I've got hardwired ones going to wirelessly transmitting to a DVR in the house, and then I have little Reolink, I want to say is the brand. They have SD cards in them. They upload to a cloud from Reolink, and they're solar powered. I've got them all over the place, and they are phenomenal. As long as they can reach your Wi-Fi to the house, so I don't have them like out in the middle of the woods, but as long as they can reach the Wi-Fi, or I can access them from my phone and view the cloud storage And then if I need to get a backup of that, they have an SD card. But what's good about that is if somebody finds one, breaks it, you still have the cloud of them breaking it and might be able to identify them. And those things, they're not that expensive. You can get a couple of them, and the solar panel is phenomenal. With they have a battery, and I've had initially when I just had rechargeable ones, I had to recharge them like every 3 months, and I have not touched these things in like 2 years, and it's just great. So so hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, there's probably some other things that I'm missing that are pretty important. So if you can think of something, throw it in the comments. I love people's comments. Like I said, this is my like one fun hobby, because the properties all work. So this is I like tinkering with photography and cameras and stuff. So this is kind of fun. So hopefully this is helpful. And then like I said, stay safe out there. And then like I said, leave some comments. And thanks again.